Wow, how about that? What's up, Jersey guy? Come on, let's all be smiles. All this week I kept hearing and reading on Twitter and everything about how the Minnesota Wild were going to exact some revenge for what happened to one Jared Spurgeon and get it all on Zachary Haru. And then tonight happens. You think Minnesota Wild players would have put some more energy into, I don't know, winning the game. I love it when you're right. Zach was in their head tonight.
You ever just want to get down on one knee and thank the hockey gods upstairs that Phil Forsberg is a Nashville Predator?
Hey everybody, it's Jersey Guy. Hold my beer. Are you sure you want me here? Hat-trick watch anybody? Is it maybe somewhere that we owe a massive debt to the hockey gods?
Again and again and again.
You're like a kid again, Johnny. Is this happening? Is this happening? This isn't an ad for some dang cookie. I want a piece of that action. Well, you don't have to tell me twice.
What do you have to tell me that is going to make me feel positive? And
maybe the Titans won't let us down on Thursday. Let's walk it off! Okay, on with Johnny's reaction video.
Redemption take you home.
Everybody's hands go up, way up, as the Nashville Predators, they defeat the Minnesota Wild by a final score of 6-2 Saturday night inside the friendly confines of Bridgestone Arena. So much for that revenge game. How wild. On the back of a 2-goal, 2-assist performance by one Philip Forsberg, 27 saves by UC Saros, the Preds rally for the kid and remind the Wild whose house resides at 501 Broadway. Well, we all remember well what happened New Year's Eve up in St. Paul against the Minnesota Wild when Zachary Haru, he didn't mean to do it on purpose, but he still did it. He slew-footed Wild captain Jared Spurgeon, got tossed from the game and had to serve 3 games for him. We all remember it well and we want to put it out of our minds. But we also all knew that coming into this game, playing the Wild for the first time since New Year's Eve, that Zachary Haru was going to have to answer the bell for it. It happens all the time in hockey. But what I didn't appreciate coming into this game was players on the Minnesota Wild roster who kept talking. Talk. All this week. I'm looking at you, Foligno, having to say that they're going to have to teach the kid a lesson. And I was saying to a couple Preds friends of mine all week is that I hope the NHL is aware of this, and I've warned the Wild players that, because I've seen this happen in other instances between other teams, that if anything happens, if anything got out of control, or heaven forbid something happened to Haru injury-wise out of retribution, that there was going to be an even more severe punishment for said infraction. Well, just over 2 minutes into this game, Zachary pays the piper. He gets into a fight with former Pred Yakov Trenin, and hey, I by all means will give the edge to Trenin in that fight. But it doesn't stop there with the Wild. I don't want to quote him out of turn, but I can imagine right off the ensuing face-off, Luke Schenn drops the gloves with one of the men who was running his mouth all week, Marcus Foligno, and those two square off. Okay, and then 9 seconds after that, Preds go to a power play after Matt Boldy trips Adam Willsby, only to be negated when Philip Forsberg would trip Joel Eriksson Ek. Okay, boys, can we get this out of our system and actually play a hockey game now? Almost 6.5 minutes in, it's the Wild who strike first off of a 2-on-1, Matt Boldy and David Juracek, and Juracek is able to beat Saros over his pad, and in retrospect, the Wild seem a little bit more fired up than usual to be ahead only 1-0. 2 minutes later, though, the Preds would respond in the Wild zone. It's the grinders on this roster. Some would argue the heartbeat of the team, as big sexy Michael McCarron behind the net gets it out front, and they're coming right in is Colton Sissons to bang it home past Marc-Andre Fleury, his last game in the building he was drafted in, and the Preds on Colton Sissons' 5th of the season have tied this game at 1. Okay, that's the response I like to see from the Preds after the Wild talked their talk before this game, and now this game is really underway. Then we fast forward to just over 7 minutes left in the first period, and Adam Wilsey pinches in. What a nice move. He's going to have such a great future. He gets Marc-Andre Fleury down at his mercy, but there's bodies around. Oh, and he can't tuck it home. Oh, so close. Wilsby, who just happened to be dressed in this game in place of Spencer Stastny, who was hurt. Then under 6 minutes left to go in the first. Another man on the Preds blue line who's going to look good for years to come, we all hope, because of the promise he's showing this year. Nick Blankenburg pinches in, but Marc-Andre Fleury is able to get a pad on his shot. I was singing their praises on Preds Twitter after that chance by Blankenburg, the Preds future blue line. Oh my God, chef's kiss is going to look so beautiful. A healthy Spencer Stastny, Adam Wilsby, Nick Blankenburg, and finally, when he's done playing in junior, Tanner Molendyke. And it was about 4.5 minutes left to go in the first period. I'm reminded where the Wild's mindset is in the game. It's not about playing the game. It's about all the stuff that led up to the game and about getting that sweet revenge. Because at that moment in the first period, Marco Rossi hits a rut in the ice. It was very innocent, but it just so happened to coincide when Zachary Heroux, who was nearby, Rossi, who had the puck, he was the puck carrier, Zachary Heroux was going to line him up for what was a clean, mind you, hit. And because of the timing and not thinking straight with hitting the rut in the ice and going down, oh look, Brock Faber comes in and is like, oh, I have blinders on. 68 for the Preds was nearby when one of my players fell. He must have done something dirty. He goes in there and knocks over LaRue, and thank God for the ref for seeing it for what it was and taking Faber off for roughing. Well, the Wild almost got away with that stupid penalty there. Mind you, almost. Preds in the Wild zone. Power play is ticking down. Anytime now, boys. Anytime now. Forsberg gets a shot off. But you know what Forsberg is? Lately, you know he has 4 goals in 4 straight games. He's hungry for more. He wants to send a message as a part of this team against the Wild. So after a rebound, Forsberg, with one hand, mind you, goes in there and decides to be fancy, I guess, with his backhand, and is able to poke it backhand past Marc-Andre Fleury, putting a stamp on his game in only the first period as the Preds take a 2-1 lead. Along with the long list of accolades Forsberg has already accumulated in his NHL career, all with Predators gold, mind you, that power play goal gives him 81 power play goals in franchise history, moving him into first past Shea Weber. Final 2.5 minutes or so expire in the first period. Preds dominating on the shot clock with a total of 17-7, but only have a 2-1 lead to show for it. Not even a minute has expired into the second period when Captain Roman Josi keeps the puck from escaping the blue line, and he gets it over to Philip Forsberg, who gets it back door to Steven Stamkos, who is also an underrated heater right now. He gets it 16, bangs it home past Marc-Andre Fleury. Just minutes into the second period, the Preds are already up 3-1. Then, just about a minute later, Tommy Novak from behind the Wild net backhands it out to Fedor Svechkov, who wants to get in on the festivities, and he roofs it past Fleury. Preds pouring it out now. It's Frosty time already in Nashville. Preds up 4-1. I would love the visual of every Preds fan in Nashville getting their Frosties early tomorrow, so if the Wild pass by back to B&A Airport for their next game in Denver, they see Preds fans enjoying that free, delicious Frosty at their expense of scoring so many goals. Props to the Preds for giving Yakov Trenin his tribute video in the second period. After a Preds power play that doesn't result in another goal for them, the Wild get a 3-on-1 going the other way. Gonna play a little better defense there, guys, with the player coming out of the box. And thank God in that 3-on-1, Saros was there to bail them out. Marc-Andre Fleury showing the younger boys in his last game in Bridgestone Arena that he still got it as the Preds look to expand on their lead, but he makes a big glove save. We've got 1 minute left in the second period. Preds look to be in control of this game. Luke Schenn would get tagged for interference. Not the best interference call if you ask me. Fortunately, the Preds don't let the Wild score on that initial part of the Shen minor. The rest of it will carry over to the third period. Second period ends. Preds out shooting the Wild 30-18 and extending their lead where it counts on the scoreboard, up 4-1 after 40 minutes. Preds officially down to 11 skaters, it was announced early in the third period, as Mark Janikowski, who left with an injury in the second period, would not return in this game. Hopefully a 3-goal cushion is enough to hold up in his absence. Well, good thing right off the bat, because the Preds will kill off Luke Schen's minor that carries over to the third period. But that is short-lived, as the Wild go back to the power play. Adam Willsby goes off for delay of game, and in the process of the penalty, Brady Shea somehow, someway gets tied up with UC Saros, knocks him out, not out of the game, thank God, just out of position, so he's not able to scramble back and prevent Matt Boldy from scoring. Wild cut the lead to 4-2. Brady Shea, everyone's favorite punching bag on this Preds blue line, but at least, as I will explain later, Brady Shea kind of makes up for his mental lapse there. Preds unable to extend their lead about 5 minutes into the third period, when Vinny Hinestroza and Roman Josi have a 2-on-1. We hit the halfway mark of the third period, and Nick Blankenberg, he is fitting in quite well in that Preds blue line as he races back to clean up a Preds mistake and prevent Matt Boldy from making it 4-3 Preds. Under 5 minutes left to go. Preds giving it to the Wild just as much as they can, not taking their foot off of the gas, want to see this game to its conclusion with 2 points, and just over 3.5 left to go in the game. Wouldn't you know it? No need for Fleury to be pulled for Forsberg to get another goal, because I don't know what Zach Bogosian was doing here. Terrible clear that Philip Forsberg goes into steal, immediately goes backhand, beats Fleury, his second of the game. Preds extend their lead to 5-2. Let Phil cook. Let Phil cook. I don't want the party to end with Philip Forsberg scoring goals. And then I told you this man, number 76 year program, would redeem himself. Preds in the Wild zone after they have pulled Marc-Andre Fleury, despite being down 3 goals. And Brady Shea is like, oh, is anybody open? Is anybody open? Okay, I'll do it myself. And he skates it, puts it home, puts his stamp on a game. Near perfect game from the Preds, as it is now 6-2. And 6-2 would be the final score. Preds out shooting the Wild 38-29. The Wild, obviously, as we saw in this game, much more concerned with getting some measure in revenge instead of actually playing hockey. And I would just like to say, for any Wild, Vegas, or Pittsburgh Penguins fan who may be watching this fan reaction video, Marc-Andre Fleury may never have dressed in a game in Preds gold, but I have to respect the man's body of work, his long, illustrious career. In his last game in the building he was drafted in 22 years ago this summer. I just want to say right off the bat as I start this summary that I applaud the Preds for their effort tonight. They did 2 things important. They won the game, and at the same time they defended the honor of their teammate who was having his name dragged through the mud in the press all week. Was Zach perfect with how he played in St. Paul back on New Year's Eve? No, of course not. But he still didn't deserve what he was receiving through the press from the Wild players leading up to this game. The Preds were only their second 3-game win streak of the season, but in the process that they're on right now, they have won 5 of their last 7 games. I would argue, rightfully so, that this win tonight is the best of their last 3-game streak. And I just want to say, barring somehow making the playoffs, which I still don't think they're going to do, I am so glad I don't have to see the Minnesota Wild play the Preds for the rest of the season. Oh, and by the way, Dallas, Vegas, you're welcome for the help in the standings. Now it's time for the Preds to mentally reset for a home-and-home against a team who's right down there with them in the standings, with a netminder on their roster who you know is going to get at least one, if not both of the starts against his former team this week. Him looking for some revenge. I'll admit, I'm looking forward to cell block 303, giving it to that certain Sharks netminder come Tuesday night. Keep playing the way you're playing, Preds. The way things are going, if you keep this up, yeah, you may take yourself out of getting a high draft lottery position, but I'll appreciate you playing hardworking and respectable. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. As always, click like if you like this video. Click subscribe if you really liked it. You can find my social media and interact with me during every Preds game, as always, down the stretch here by clicking on a channel name. Tell all your friends about Redemption, and tell them, as the second half of this season is well underway, that this team may not be where they want to be, but they are still showing us in the thick of things, they'll fight for one another.